just hit record. Sorry, Kevin, I forgot to record the first few minutes, but it was just introductions. So anyways, Kevin Bruni is the middle school athletic director, and he has been so gracious about helping us with this. It's not an official middle school sport, so it's not, officially part of his job description, but he's been really great about working with us, brainstorming with us, and working us into the schedule, which is a huge feat for him to do with all the other middle school sports. So we're grateful to him for helping us out with all this. And then the other person who may be jumping on with us is Brad Poole. And he is the one who's been behind the high school program. He really helped get that off the ground in 2018. So they had a full season before COVID hit. And then their last couple of seasons have been a little shaky, but they've had a lot of fun and a huge response at the high school level. So he, of course, has been interested and invested in having this start at a lower level so he can potentially get some athletes down the road who've had a little bit of experience. He's been getting high school boys who really have not played volleyball at all. So anytime you can have some kids with a few more years experience is great. So as many of you know, I think we both communicated this in our emails. We've had like a tremendous response to boys volleyball, way bigger than we anticipated. At this point, we have over 50 boys in the 5th through 8th grade, about 30 in the 5th and 6th grade, and about 20 in the 7th and 8th grade. It's a much bigger response than we were expecting, but it's very exciting. So right now, boys volleyball in Michigan is a totally growing sport. There's only about 20 high school teams that have it, but I think the magic number is 60. When 60 high school teams have it, MHSAA will consider recognizing it as a varsity sport. So with the pace that it's been growing so far, I think in 2018 there were only 4 high school teams, so it's been growing exponentially each year. And I think there's a potential for some of the younger kids to see it be a varsity sport by the time they're in high school. So at the middle school level, it's even smaller. In West Michigan, we know of 6 teams that have middle school volleyball programs. We're one of those, and we're new, and we're going to be bringing 5 teams right from the get-go. But there's a lot of unknowns, and so we appreciate your patience with us and just your this is going to be a learning process for all of us. And just as a reminder, with it being a club sport, like everything is volunteer. So the coaches are volunteering, at games, we're hoping that we can pay for one umpire, but we'll be relying on parents and volunteers to be line judges and to help keep score. So there's going to be some bumps along the road, and we just ask for your grace with that, and keep asking questions. We're figuring it out on our own. And if you have questions as we go, feel free to put it in the chat, but we'll make sure to also leave a few minutes for questions at the end. A lot of this we covered in our emails, so I'm going to touch on it really, really fast. And then there's just a couple of new items. And then David and Jeremy, please jump in at any time that I'm forgetting something or misstating it. So what we're planning right now is at the 7th and 8th grade level, there's going to be 2 teams. And at the 5th and 6th grader level, there'll be 3 teams, approximately 10 boys on each team. And we're going to split them as evenly as we can. So the first few practices, we're really going to be looking at level of skill so we can split those teams evenly. We'll let you know, hopefully end of next week, mid next week, what those team splits will be. But really all our practices are going to be together. So no matter what, your boys will be playing with the kids at their grade level. Sometimes in middle school sports, different teams practice at all different times, but we're going to keep those grade levels together. And particularly at the 5th and 6th grade level, because we don't have as many people to compete against, we will be doing a lot more scrimmaging against each other. The 7th and 8th grade level, you'll be having the opportunity to play against other schools more than we will, because we're not really sure what other schools are even going to field the 5th and 6th grade team yet. So practices will look probably a little different than other middle school sports that you're used to. They'll be a little more like a camp or a clinic. And partly too, it's a function of, we know this is going to be the first time for most of your sons playing volleyball. So we know we're going to have to do a lot of just basic skill development. Like David has been big on pointing out, we really want it to be fun for your boys. I feel like a little bit of responsibility just to make this an excellent first exposure to volleyball. I love volleyball, not because I played in middle school, but both of my daughters who are 7th grade and 11th grader have played, and I've just grown to really love being a fan of the sport. And so I would love for your boys to fall in love with it. So I think we are all on the same page that we want this to be a fun time, but also gain some knowledge of the skills. And I mentioned before, we were giving Jeremy a hard time because he hasn't been around volleyball for a while. His oldest is in 7th grade, and the kids totally call it pass, set, and hit now. And if you call it bump, set, or spike, they'll laugh at you. So or at least you'll reveal your age if you call it a spike. Took me a while to stop doing that, but let's see.
You sure it's not nostalgic yet?
Well, it's not nostalgic yet. No, it has not come back and been cool. Sure. Just a couple of things about how we're not really part of a league. So usually when you have these parent meetings, they kind of go over some league rules or like the playing time rules. There's none of that. So in terms of playing time, all of us coaches are very much on the same page that we want to give everybody as equal playing time as possible. When it comes down to it towards the end of the season, if there's like a tournament and, it's really close, it might not be exactly equal depending on skill level, but especially in the first parts, we're going to keep that as equal as we can. And with only 10 kids on a team, that also helps because they'll be able to get a lot of rotations in. Other than that, like we're still kind of figuring out what some of the specific rules are to boys volleyball, even like we're not 100% sure about net height. But for the most part, if you've had a daughter play volleyball, it's going to be, we assume, similar rules. And we'll let anybody know if there's anything that's different for you to expect. As always, if you have concerns about your son's playing time or about, what happens at practice or how games are going to go, feel free to reach out to any of us. You have all of our emails. I know I gave the 5th and 6th grade crew my phone number. Please feel free to reach out. Don't yell at us, but we probably have some rationale behind what you're hearing at home. So we'd love to communicate with you about it. There have been some questions about uniforms. So again, club sport, we're not provided uniforms by the school. So part of your fee that you paid to play is that we're going to buy each boy a shirt. So those have been ordered. They'll have a number on the back so that they can do substitutions during games. So those t-shirts, basically they're a little nicer than t-shirts, but will serve as a uniform. The benefit is you get to keep it at the end of the season. You don't have to turn it back in. So first ever boys volleyball middle school gear coming soon. Knee pads is another question. I did not realize, so this will show my ignorance on this topic, or my learning, I guess. I was like, oh, Gideon's playing volleyball. I'm going to get him a pair of knee pads under the Christmas tree. That's a great Christmas gift. And as soon as he opened them, Rowan was like, boys don't wear knee pads. And so then, of course, I started asking around, like, boys don't wear knee pads. I like Googled men's volleyball to see, pictures. And sure enough, many boys and men do not wear knee pads when playing. So as we've dug into that a little bit, Brad at the high school level said some boys wear them, some don't. It's not a requirement. And from what I've been able to gather, and David Ames may be able to speak to this better, at a higher level of volleyball, if you dive correctly, you should be landing like on your chest or midsection. And so men do that more naturally because women don't really want to land on their chest. So they're more likely to have knees involved and need the knees protected. So it's really up to you. I think, Gideon has knee pads, but now that he knows that not all the boys wear them, he's kind of on the fence about it. So if I didn't have knee pads for him, I'd probably just wait till after the first practice and kind of see how many kids are wearing them. but that would mean nobody would be wearing them if everybody waits. Don't worry about knee pads.
Knee pads will be up to them. They really, I mean, you don't need to buy a special shoe if you have a court shoe, a running shoe. Certainly, if you want to buy a volleyball shoe, you certainly can, like any other sport. There's all kinds of equipment you can buy, but you know, anything that they're wearing to gym class will suffice for what we're doing. Knee pads optional.
And same for shorts, like whatever they're comfortable with wearing is fine, both for practice and for games.
Yep. I can speak to the 7th and 8th grade here, not as much for the 5th and 6th grade, but masks are recommended per Tom DeYoung, and they're recommended to wear to school. They're recommending them at this point in time. We're not requiring them at practice. If we play other schools that have a mask requirement and we're going to them and they're hosting us, then we will follow their rules. Our girls volleyball ran into that where they did not, our high school girls did not wear masks, but there was a few times where we played at schools and they were required. And so then we'll follow those rules. But I think that's it in terms of equipment.
Yep. I was going to say, or to add on to the mask thing, as you all know, the rules just changed for 5th and 6th graders. So rather than being required, they're now strongly recommended. So we also strongly recommend them for this, but they're not mandated. The other thing about equipment, I was just going to say, if you don't have a volleyball at home, it's not required, but they're cheap, and I'd highly recommend getting one at home. Even in the winter, kids can set to themselves, pass against a wall in the basement, and just getting reps in at home. If, you know, they come to a few practices and they're like, hey, this is cool, I like it, would be highly beneficial. I'm letting someone in here.
Yeah, on that note, like that was one of the biggest learnings for me when I was picking the sport up, is just that hand-eye coordination is very different than a lot of other sports. So you can get any, whether it's a volleyball or any kind of ball, and sit in your basement if you have a wall or something like that and just hit it against the wall. We'll teach them how to do that, and they can take those things home and do it from home or wherever outdoors, wherever they have a wall available to do that.
We've all sent out our first week at least, or maybe 2 weeks of practice schedules. So you've probably noticed practices are all at either 5 or 6:30, which I know isn't ideal for everybody. We get second fiddle to basketball. Girls basketball is in season right now, so they usually practice after school. But the other function of that is Jeremy, David, and I all work, and so after school practice is not feasible for us. So we don't know yet about games. We're waiting to find out about a couple of potential Saturday morning tournaments, one of which we're hoping we can host at Grand Rapids Christian. I know 2 of the possible dates for that right now are February 5 or 12. We will let you know that as soon as we do. And if we do a Saturday, it would be, we call either a quad, where it's 4 teams and you all just play each other. Or if there's more teams, we can do a more traditional tournament, but they would be in the morning. And then at the 7th and 8th grade level, we're hoping to have a few midweek games as well against some of the middle school teams in West Michigan. And we'll let you know those as soon as we do. We know that several of the 7th and 8th graders are playing club basketball or have other sports they're doing. And maybe there are some at 5th and 6th grade level as well. If you could please communicate that with the coaching teams. As we're making teams, we want to make sure to split the kids up who have other commitments and maybe missing some practices. It's not a problem. I want kids to do as much as they want, but we just want to consider all that when we're forming teams. So just shoot an email to whoever sent you an email about this meeting and let us know. And if you know already what the approximate practice schedule is for that other sport or activity, that would be really helpful. What am I forgetting, Jeremy and David? Anything?
I think you covered most of it. I'm sure parents might have a few questions. I would just say, for Jeremy and I, it's really kind of fun and fundamentals. So we're going to make learning those fundamentals fun, but if we can make it where the 7th and 8th grade girls don't lick their lips and chops when they get to play the boys, and the boys have some idea of how to pass the ball and take an approach and swing. So we're going to really focus on those things of those fundamentals, but we're going to do it in a way that the boys are going to have fun. And so that might be a little bit more of a learning curve to begin with, because I would rather see them learn how to play 3-hit volleyball than just shovel the first one over. And even if that gets to you a point, that's not good. And if they have any interest in playing in high school, that's not how the game is played as you progress. So we're really going to focus on those fundamentals, having fun while we do it, and kind of learning to play the sport kind of the right way or the intended way.
Thanks, David. And one other note about the high school basketball, in case it seems that you or your son is very interested in playing, it is a spring sport in high school. So that's just a piece of information in case they're wondering what sport it may conflict with in high school. The middle school, it's played in this 1 or 2 season. So that works out well because there aren't a ton of other sports this season. Does anybody have any questions? Somebody had a question maybe. Oh, Kip just had to comment that David Ames is such a purist. We have.
You better believe it, Kip. No doubles.
We have several boys who are playing who have sisters, including Kip's son and daughter, who have sisters who are playing in high school, who are very excited about this whole middle school boys thing. So both sets of teams will definitely be getting help from visiting high school players. And there are also at least one, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, Brad would tell us if he were here, a high school boy player who's also going to be helping a lot with the 7th and 8th grade. So we will have a rotating group of kind of helpers, and that including at the 5th, 6th grade level. I know I emailed the 5th and 6th grade parents that Tiffany and I right now are the only coaches for 30 boys, which is a lot. So we're going to be relying on a few parents here and there to help us just run practice and make sure kids are getting enough attention at each of our practices. So it's a good problem to have that we have so many kids who want to play. Okay. Any other comments or razzing of David Ames to be had? So it's
I would say, just so it's clear,
I really wanted to get you guys out of here by 8. So I think we've accomplished that. And please feel free to reach out to us via email. First practice is Saturday. 5th and 6th graders from 9 to 11. 7th and 8th graders. Are you guys doing 11 to 1?
We
have Friday
practice
evening.
Friday night.
Oh, sorry. They have practice Friday night.
Friday and Saturday for us.
That's a fun Friday night practice. And then that's all I have. So I will stick on here for a minute if anybody has any questions, but you can feel free to leave, and we'll look forward to seeing your boys this weekend for first practice. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, coaches.
thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Mandy, I see you trying to leave. You just can't leave us, can you?
She's muted, so
And
she's saying
muted,
that,
so she can't talk. This is one of my very best friends from high school. We played basketball together. Mandy Van.
I may be also doing a few other things at the same time.
Mandy, you weren't completely
Sorry.
focused on me.
Well, I figured you'd give me the gist. Just
know,
kidding.
I
No, I
would.
was totally focused the whole time, Laura.
I'm just,
It was
I
real
know, I'm
great.
just teasing. So this is kind of fun, you guys. Mandy
Your
Vandermeiden
son's
son
running
actually
extra
goes
laps.
to LS.
That's fine.
Mandy's son goes to Living Stones, so he's joining us from another school.
Very cool.
He's also
Ah.
Gideon's
Cool.
very, very best friend. So,
Well, we'll make sure that
Sam,
they're
I
not on the
saw
same
that
team.
you just
Yeah.
asked. Hey there. Well, I'm so glad that Eli's playing.
He's so excited. I just sent him up to bed. He was like, I want to know everything.
Oh, that's
He's
hilarious.
pumped.
I was as like the signups came in, I was telling Gideon, of course, like which of his buddies were signed up, and he was like, Eli's playing. He was very happy. You asked in the chat, how can you sign up to help? You can just tell me you want to help and come to any practice you want.
Okay.
Or or I can tell you if we have one that we're in particular need of.
Yeah, let's do that. Just let me know when you need extra help, and Nate or I will try and make it work to get there. And
Okay.
it sounds like we have no volleyball skills whatsoever at all.
Yeah.
But if there's a way, having an extra body just to keep people in line is helpful, we're happy to do that.
I'll say
And Laura,
sometimes
let
it's
me
just
know
herding
that too,
cats.
because I can do that too. I just
Okay.
have a
Yeah, I will
click
for
every
sure.
time. Okay.
Because there might be times, and I also know this group of 5th grade and 6th grade boys somewhat, and the 5th graders especially are a little crazy. So sometimes it's going to be just keeping them like doing what the task is, you know, and that doesn't require any volleyball skill. It just requires being willing to be a little bit firm.
Just to be present in
Yeah.
the
Being a
moment.
parent.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Awesome.
So
Well,
I
thank
appreciate
you
it though, Sam.
so
I will
much.
definitely remember.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you so much for all the information, for organizing. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
thank
me
you.
too. Thanks.
All right.
See
See
ya.
you, Laura.
Okay,
Bye.
see you, man.
All right.
See ya.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
did you say there was 25 kids now?
Yeah, I just looked again.